Alright, so today I'm going to be reacting to The Matrix Resurrections trailer. If you hear noises in the background, it's because I'm filming in my room and everybody's doing stuff. I'm working on a quieter place to film because I do want to start making more of these videos where I react and review and analyze different content like movies, TV, music, all that good stuff. So the trailer has been out for about a week now. I wanted to react to it sooner, but I've just been so busy. So just for context, I grew up watching the Matrix movies. I love all of them, and I mean like all of them. I know the second and third ones get a bunch of hate from people, and I understand why, but also I love them so much, and maybe one day in the future I'll make videos about those as well. But I remember the first time I saw the Matrix movie was when I was 5 years old, and Neo is like waking up on the ship and he's about to touch the thing in the back of his neck, and then Morpheus comes in and takes him away and like gives him the tour of the ship and everything. But I just remember seeing that on screen, so like I've been watching these pretty much my whole life. So I wasn't too surprised to hear that they were making a fourth Matrix movie. One, because of the whole Keanu Reeves hype train that everybody's on right now. It makes a lot of sense to capitalize off of that. But also because at the end of the Matrix Revolutions, they do hint here and there that there might be a continuation of the story. So I am cautiously optimistic. I think there's a lot of great possibilities of things that they could go into with this new movie, but I think I'm also very hesitant. But we're just gonna watch it and we're gonna see what happens, and yeah, let's get right into it. Okay.
Thomas? You seem particularly triggered right now. Can you tell me what happened?
I've had dreams that weren't just dreams.
Okay, so right off the bat, we've got the sound already I'm hearing is classic to the sounds that we had from the original movies, and the reference to the cat of deja vu. Seeing Neil Patrick Harris right away is kind of taking me out of it a little bit. It's kind of like, you know, it doesn't feel right. I also want to touch on the fact that the poster design for this new movie is very different from the old ones. The old ones had the greenish blue color scheme with the coding in the back and your three main protagonists in the front. This new poster is very minimalistic with the red pill and the blue pill, and I think that's cool. But it is something that I want to note because it is a departure from the original design that they were going for. So it's kind of telling me that they're not afraid to go for something different, more of a modern update when it comes to the design and advertisement and stuff like that. But so far we are 14 seconds in, and I'm assuming that the person talking in shadows is going to be Keanu Reeves, Neo, because he just had all these flashback images of the previous Matrix movies and things like that. So let's keep going.
Am I crazy?
We don't use that word in here.
In here? Where's in here? White Rabbit, oh my god. Yes. Wait, okay, was the rubber ducky on top of his head? Or was that just like the way the shot was framing it, where it looked like the rubber ducky was on top of his head? Oh my god. But I love that I love White Rabbit. I love that they're using it. Alice in Wonderland references. Okay, keep going.
Hi.
Have we met?
What?
One pill makes
He's taking blue pills. He's literally taking blue pills.
Makes you small, and the ones that mother gives you don't do anything at all.
So she doesn't recognize him. She died in the last one. Wait, hold on. Let me go back. What was the title of that book? Oh, it was Alice in Wonderland. Okay.
When she's 10 feet tall.
Good. The mirror.
Time to fly.
And if you go chasing rabbits.
Okay. Is that supposed to be Morpheus? Because please don't. Please don't. No. Mm-mm.
The truth, Neo. You're going to have to follow me.
And you know you're going to fall.
We love a
Everything that
blue-haired
matters to you is still
badass
here.
bitch.
I know it's why you're still fighting and why you will never give up. You don't know me, no?
Okay, so we've got different powers. Machine City.
When logic and proportion have fallen aside.
Agents. Okay, I'm gonna pause it because there's just a lot of flashing sequences happening. So far, like, I don't even know, like, I'm gonna take the subtitles off. But, so, there's just so much. I'm seeing a lot of callbacks to the original film. I'm seeing a lot of new actors. It's hard, though, to tell. I mean, you can tell when they're in the real world because it looks like the real world and it's not Machine City. But I am missing that element of, like, when they're in the Matrix, everything is color-coded green. That was done for a pretty intentional reason. And not all the time. Like, sometimes it's not color-coded green. And then the Machine City / the real world is color-graded in blue. So, you know, that's probably something I'd have to watch the movie and see how they do that, but I'm not getting that element of separation. It's hard to tell if he is aware of his past or not, and it's hard to tell if Trinity is still alive, or if this is just she's alive in the Matrix but not in the real world, if she's reborn. It is called Resurrections. There's a lot of things that it could be because I'm just getting flashes of images. So there's so many things going on here.
After all these years, to be going back to where it all started. Back to the Matrix.
Okay, so, I have a lot of thoughts. I still get chills though when I hear that song at the end, mainly because I heard how high it was, and if you're really into the Matrix, you know that with each installment, that theme in the score goes up. It's either by a half step or a full step. Between the first movie it was a lot lower, and then it got higher, and with the second movie, and then in the third movie it got higher as they were building up to something, and now this one is really high. But I just like to see that there's those little details that are consistent as well, even though it's not all consistent. basically though, I think there's some things that are throwing me off, honestly, are seeing Neil Patrick Harris is kind of taking me out of it. Seeing someone that kind of looks like Morpheus but isn't Lawrence Fishburne is also kind of throwing me off. And seeing Keanu Reeves in his, long hair beard type thing, it really feels like I'm just watching Keanu Reeves. It doesn't feel like I'm looking at Neo, the character. And just the way the color grading is, I don't know if it's just the way with the filming, because I think the original films were filmed on film and they look so good. The shots are so carefully constructed. And I was just watching the first one recently with my siblings, and just how every shot in that one is so, there's so many iconic shots in the first one. I'm not seeing any shots that, I'm looking, right now I'm staring at this opening, and it looks pretty fake, and I don't know if they're doing that on purpose. It just looks very IMAX, and it's not giving me that, the steeped in blues and greens that we're used to from that. I'm seeing a lot more color, a lot more orange, pinks, more of a natural color grading, which if they're taking it in a different direction, that's their prerogative, obviously. And I know with the sequels, a lot of people weren't happy with where they took it there with the CGI. Everyone was like, oh, it looks so fake. And they were like, well, that's kind of what we're going for, because it's supposed to be in this fake kind of Matrix computer generated reality world. So to me, it seems like what's happening is in the third movie, both Neo and Trinity died, presumably, and they've been injected into a new version of the Matrix where they don't remember everything. But some of the things that I wanted to touch on that I would be curious about is, first of all, the trans allegory that was alluded to a lot. It was the late 90s, 2000s, and I believe that was something they were trying to do with the character of Switch, where that character was trans, so their real world body didn't match their residual self-image. So when they were in the Matrix, they were projecting themselves, they were projecting themselves to be seen how they would want to be seen, how they feel on the inside. So that's why the name is Switch, because they're switching between gender expression and stuff like that. And I know that is also a big thing for the Wachowskis, as they have also gone through their transition. So in the 2021 landscape of things, I would be really interested to see that idea fleshed out. There are a lot of actors that don't have their character names listed, because I think that might give away some stuff. But Christina Ricci doesn't have a character name, so I have no idea what they're going to do with her, but I'm very interested to see what they're going to do with her, because she does have a relationship with the Wachowskis. She was in the Speed Racer movie, which I love, so underrated. But I'm excited to see Christina Ricci because I like her. And then Priyanka Chopra Jonas, of course, I love her. She's listed as playing herself. So it says as Priyanka Chopra, so maybe she's playing herself as an actress in the Matrix. I don't know. That's an interesting thought. Jada Pinkett Smith coming back as Niobe. You know, we need more from her character. She honestly had some of the best moments in the original trilogy, and she got a lot of shine in the video game, and I've always wanted more from her. We've got someone as Agent Johnson, Lambert Wilson coming back as the Merovingian. I love him and I love the character. One of my favorite characters. they did recast Morpheus. And personally, I'm like, if you can't get Lawrence Fishburne, just leave it alone. Like, I see why they did it with the Oracle. The actress who played the Oracle in the first two movies passed away, and so they recast her and essentially gave her a new body in the Matrix, or a new residual self-image. So that can be done. Another thing I wanted to add real quick is I am kind of missing the leather aesthetics. I know we've come a long way since then, but I also think that if they wanted to go back to that, they could. Again, we're seeing a resurgence in a lot of late 90s, 2000s trends and styles. It would be refreshing to see some of that on screen again. I could see that they brought the suits back. I can see that they're doing really cool androgynous looks as well. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think they should bring back the leather clothes and sunglasses? Are we missing that, or are you glad that they ditched that and you like the more contemporary style as well? Honestly, what it's looking like, the nostalgia, the wave of nostalgia that's coming back, and a lot of movies banking on that nostalgia when they reboot a series, which I'm not a fan of. All right, so here's the book. I have it here. Simulacra and Simulation. Now that I've been reading this book, watching the trailer, it's so ironic, the fact that this new trailer for this movie is telling me basically that this movie is the simulation of the first movie, like the simulacra of the first movie. If you haven't read this book, I would recommend reading it, but it essentially says he uses the concept of the simulacrum, the copy without an original, and simulation, crucial to an understanding of the postmodern, to address the concept of mass reproduction and reproductibility that characterizes our electronic media culture. This is so relevant to today, and that's why I was excited to see this new installment of this movie, because I'm like, there's a lot to be said about these original concepts and how they apply to us today. But this book was the main reference for the first movie and the first trilogy, and how the reality that we're in is just a copy of the original, and the original wasn't even the original. That was a copy of something else, and so the original no longer really exists. But my point is, watching this new trailer, I can't help but think that this trailer, this movie that I'm looking at, is a simulation of the previous of the original movies. Let's look specifically at the action sequences and how those were filmed and shot, and how revolutionary that was for the film industry and for shooting action and stuff like that, to the point that in the 20 years or however long it's been since the first movie was released to now, those techniques have been used to death. They've been used over and over again, both in parody and just for virtue of those being good techniques to use. But we see it in all of our action movies, all of our superhero movies, a lot of these same techniques, to where now that I see this new trailer for The Matrix, this next installment in the story, it looks like everything else. And so it's kind of a simulation of itself. I just kind of had this realization of, like, I'm reading this book and it's all about simulation. Even the original was not entirely original. It took from something else. It's just something that occurred to me as being ironic that these original films focus so heavily on pointing out how our media culture is essentially a simulation of reality. And social media, and I won't even get into the topic of how social media is a simulation of reality. I think there's a lot of videos on YouTube about that already. It's one thing to have 3 parts to a story, And then it's another thing to just be trying to recreate that energy and that vibe in order to capitalize on that. People who created it, I think Lana Wachowski has a lot invested in these stories. A lot of people do, so I think they're definitely trying, but it does look to me like it falls into a lot of the traps of the reboot formula. But let me know what you think. I'll go see it because I'm invested in the story. I'm curious to see where they go with it, but I'm also very cautious about, I don't want to get my hopes up. So let me know what you think in the comments. If you like this video, hit the like button, and I guess I'll see you in the next one.